What is a noise not commonly heard, but is still easily identified? Breaking glass. Stone cold, stone cold. If you wanna see me stomp a Texas-sized mud hole in the Hardy Boys' asses, Jimmy hell yeah. A foghorn on a lighthouse. I love foghorns. I love leghorns. It's sure. I say it's sure quiet around here. You could hear a caterpillar sneak in across a moss bed in tennis shoes. Sneakers. That is. Air raid siren. We still have some of them left in the UK after WW2 as they were used to warn people in case of a nuclear war and possibly could still be used in that role today. Still have these. Cold War era nuke attack version. In the Midwest US. They are used for tornado warnings now. Head perks up, must be noon. 10 AM. First Tuesday of the month around here. Noon on first Wednesday where I am. Unless there is a storm then it moves to Thursday. A Zippo. I hardly see anyone use them anymore, but the sound of the lid opening is unmistakable. I don't smoke, but I want a Zippo just because. There's other uses for lighters than just smoking. Those zippers evaporate so quickly that smokers probably get the best use out of them. You could get into using paracord for a bunch of stuff. It's super versatile, and learning knots and stuff is neat. You could use it to start camping stoves and campfires. You could use it to disinfect your heroin needles. There's a lot you can do with them without getting addicted to cigarettes. I love me a Zippo, but it's not quite zombie proof compared to a standard big lighter. You gotta baby the shit out of it, make sure it doesn't get wet. Forgotten in pants before the wash, store right side up, etc. And even with perfect use you gotta refill it and replace the flint/wick. I used mine a lot. It was basically a flammable fidget toy. Bics last forever and are super cheap. Hell, even when they die I would use the flint for a Zippo instead of buying those BS name brand replacements. Just buy one of those Thunderbird butane inserts for your Zippo. Same yellow flame. No leakage. No wicks or flint to mess with. And the same lifetime warranty. The CHKKK of a shotgun. Fun fact, a pump action shotgun racking around into the chamber is one of the most recognizable sounds in the world. It's the universal language of GTFO my house. As the saying goes, a bullet sounds the same in every language. THX sound. Edit. Played before movies occasionally. The audience is now deaf. Lol. Shout out to Tiny Toons. I gotta rewatch how I spent my summer vacation one of these days. If Animaniacs is anything to go by, there will be a ton of jokes I didn't get as a kid that I will now. Jaylee know using a stroller for his chin. A woodpecker on a tree. Don't hear it often where I'm from, but when you're out in the middle of a forest, you know hoss making that sound. We have woodpeckers around here. Suburban area. There's one woodpecker in my area and the only thing it pecks is a stop sign. Someone sprinting down the sidewalk in flip-flops. Especially those $1 foam ones. That squeak. Slap. Squeak. Slap. Squeak. Slap. Like kinky. Rough clown sex. Two clowns are having sex, one says to the other back quote, does this feel funny to you? Those old car horns that go like awoga. If you hear it these days it just means there's an older person nearby getting a text alert. In my office, it's always the train whistle. Always on full volume. I have a coworker whose text tone is the foghorn from Gillith. MN, and it goes on for like 15 seconds. The high-pitched noise that the old TVs made when they were turned on or off. It's the same sound I hear when it's dead silent. That's tinnitus. Then edit. Fixed spelling. How did I manage to miss it? I thought it was pretendinitus. That's only if you hear the sound while in the office. Wolf howl. Coyotes howling chills my blood. A red fox sounds like a woman screaming. A mountain lion sounds like a woman being straight up murdered. Came here to say this. Been years since I've heard that horrendous yowl, but it fucking sticks with you. The door stops spring a thing when it goes GPT PT PT TPT PT PPT PT 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 PT. Ah. Childhood. A 56k modem connecting. Windows XP starting. But why was it so loud? Imagine waiting more than 5 minutes, 5 being lucky, for your computer to start. Best do something else. The computer will tell you when it's ready, no matter where I be. Wow, this makes perfect sense. A rooster. I had really only heard one in Looney Tunes tunes. But then I moved to a neighborhood where someone was keeping one for a pet. Edited because I thought it was Toons. Like Toontown. Edit 2. 0. Now my most upvoted comment on Reddit is an embarrassing mistake about a show from my childhood and a rooster. Lol. Edit 2. 5. Thank you for the gold. Kind stranger. I was gonna post the same. And add unless you have one or live on Kauai. I just live in Florida in a neighborhood with a high Hispanic and Latino population. Hear it every damn day. I live in a small farmer's village in Europe. So yeah. Every day. Spent time doing mission work in Haiti. That myth about only crowing in the morning is, in fact, a myth. They do that shit 24/7. A true scream of fear. Unless it's a child. I'll hear a blood-curdling scream from my apartment. Everyone will stop talking. Then somewhere in the distance a bunch of kids laugh, and we all start talking again. Maybe it's the kids who are causing someone else to scream. Question mark? Thanks for putting that thought in my head. Like a horror movie. Google the black-eyed kids. The only tip I've heard is, don't let them in. Edit, if you are superstitious. I'm truly sorry. Someone walking on snow. Crunch crunch. Or if it's real cold and dry up in damn North Country. Squeak squeak. I fucking despise that noise. It's like styrofoam to me. The sound that a broom makes when thrown on the ground. A dog vomiting. That noise will wake you out of your sleep and make you jump run. They always seek out the carpet/rugs. 2. Never the hardwood floors, where it's easier to clean. I don't know why. Mine's a little thing. So when I hear that noise I will pick her up and take her in the kitchen where there is no carpet. I'd rather let my cat vomit straight into my hand than on the carpet or anything fabric. Woke up to him gagging one time. Rolled over and just stuck my hand out and caught the hairball without thinking. It was disgusting. But I realized I preferred the easy cleanup. You got lucky. I've seen cats vomit live worms before. You'd have to throw the whole hand away. Last week my cat threw up a half-digested mouse onto cream carpet. I cried. A smoke detector. Look at little miss, I'm too good for burnt food over here. I read this in the voice of Meredith Palmer. I read it in the voice of Kitty Foreman. A nuclear warning signal. I've never heard one in my life, but I'd sure as hell know what it means. Remember that false alarm in Hawaii a few years ago? And it was at a time when North Korea was threatening to nuke the US. Yeah, my family still lives there. I'm on the mainland and my parents were visiting my dying grandmother on my mom's side in WV. My little brother called me to tell me he thought he was about to die and to please call mom for him because he couldn't do it to her. That was one of the worst and best days of my life, but my roommates definitely came home to me in utter hysterics. The screams of someone in the first moments of grief are keening and screaming. I haven't heard it often, but it's a sound that never leaves you. I was 7 years old when we received the news that my cousin was hit and killed by a drunk driver. My grandma was at my house at the time. It's 22 years later, and I've never forgotten the scream she let out. Don't drink and drive. A coworker told me just this past week during a similar conversation that it's okay to drink and drive as long as you do it responsibly and don't kill or injure anyone. He is convinced that you have the ultimate control of yourself and can prevent a motor vehicle accident when you're drunk. Fucking lunatic. Does he think that the people who drink and kill people intend to do that? Car accident. Especially if you're the one driving. Those things are just so jarringly loud. Now imagine 4 cars hitting you at once from behind. Happened in slow motion. I was stopped in traffic. Heard the squealing of brakes and knew immediately what was about to happen. And that I had nowhere to go, so just braced for impact. Then I heard 4 very loud bangs followed by breaking glass. The cop showed up. Looked at all 4 of the cars and walked to the one at the very back and just smiled broadly. Who owns this one? And how is your insurance? They totaled 3 cars. Fortunately for me, since I was at the front of the line, I only had minor damage. Wait a fucking second. They were so fast / had so much energy that they pushed the 3 cars in front of them into the back of each other? Perhaps the cars were too close together. 2. In a collision between cars, a car that stopped first / is in the front of the line. B, C, and D. Car that didn't stop in time and starts the collision chain. I've heard of cars B or C getting in some insurance/legal trouble because they stopped way too close to the car in front of them and well avoided hitting the next car. If they'd have been braked the whole car length or whatever it is back. Moral of the story is stay off of everyone's bumper. Always. The Wilhelm scream. My husband says Wilhelm scream every time he hears it, which is all the time. I can never hear it, but I always hear my leg from SpongeBob. I point it out to my wife so much it drives her insane. I get so happy when it happens, but she's over it lol. I mention it to my boyfriend every time I hear it. He started doing it as well. It amuses us. The sound of one of them big guns on one of the military planes that goes brrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr trumpeting. But how do you spell the sound an elephant makes? BRRPFFT. Damn it. Now I'm gonna be thinking about that. A tripping breaker. A floppy drive reading. That Windows XP error sound. You just reminded me how much I miss the sensory joy that was the floppy disk. In middle school I would sit and listen to the teacher speak while holding a disk in two hands beneath my desk. The friction between the metal and the plastic as I slid the shielding back and forth made a sensation similar to the more enjoyable part of rubbing styrofoam together, but lacking the nauseating aspects that seemed to pierce your brain. It was the spine-tingling tremor without the melt behind the eyes. It was heaven. The disc itself was like low grit sandpaper made of clay and could be rubbed, clicked against the nails or lightly chewed in its rounded corners. They were pre-fidget recognition fidget spinners and I loved them. The only thing that was better to fidget with were the eject buttons of the drives, in my opinion. This moment when you press the button and the floppy shoots out straight. I modified my drive to include a stronger spring solely for that purpose. Old trains choo choo. Choo choo? No. Choo choo. It's right there, man. If you are new to Tattletale TV, please subscribe. I have new videos every day. Stay tuned right now for another